Hi and welcome to Sparkle Tart.
Hello beautiful people. Today I'm going to be playing with a few bits and pieces left over from previous projects, and I'm going to start with the leftover bits of collage paper from my Jane Davenport project. Now this was part of the paper that I used in my Frida project, and I'll link that up the top in case you're interested. And this face was just too pretty to throw away, but I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with it. So I'm going to be brave and do a page in my traveler's notebook for my planner, because I'm trying to get a little bit more organized. The beginning of the year has just flown past and I can use all the help I can get. So I'm going to take my color palette from the image here. So I'll be using purple, pink and yellow. Alright, so I've got my Jane Davenport Bright set here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of colour. Now I kind of know where I want my face. It sort of needs to sit about here. So let me just add a little spray of water to my palette, just to activate those yummy colours. And I'm just going to use a water brush and add a really light wash of colour. And of course I'm going to add a few little bits and pieces over the other side too. So I'm just going to start with the yellow. Just in case the colour's too strong, I'll get a little mixing palette over here so I can get the colour going. Oh, I'm glad I did that. A little bit goes a long way sometimes. Alright, so I'm just going to add a tiny little wash of yellow here. And I just want to show you how quick and simple this can be. I mean, that's what I love about planning. You can just sort of make it as simple or as funky as you like. And I'm just going to move this off here for a second. Blend those two colours together so I get a little bit of variety. I'm going to add a little bit of pink around the back here. Just so I'm not getting anything weird going on. Blend those two. Now the Traveler's Notebook I'm using is just one of the standard notebooks that came with my Nomad set. It's what Prima include with their basic Traveler's Notebook sets. Alright, so I've got a little bit of the pink, as we can see in the image here. I need a bit of purple. So let me just add a bit of the purple. And just mix that so it's nice and pale. Now while I can add the purple over the pink, we all know I'm not going to be able to add that near the yellow without making a yucky brown colour. So I'll just have to be a little bit slow and steady here. Now because this one's not watercolour paper, although Prima has now brought out watercolour paper for their Traveler's Notebooks, I'm going to get a few edges, I'm going to get a few bits and pieces. It's going to be fun. Now don't forget to blend those two colours together. And then I'm just going to put my little face back over here and make sure I'm in the right direction. And I am, but I'm going to need a bit more colour just there, up in the corner. Okay, so next I'm going to add the face and a few little bits of collage paper. I've got some matte medium. Based on past experience, it's best to add the medium to the page and then add the tissue paper over the top, rather than try and add the medium to the tissue paper straight away. Doesn't always go very well. Now there's not a lot of being able to move this once it's down, so make sure you sort of get it where you want it to start with. Now you'll notice I'm not dragging, I'm just patting. Ugh. And you're less likely to rip the tissue paper this way. So just pat it down. Then once it's down, you can go over it with matte medium. Now once it's flattened and stuck, you can then add another layer of matte medium over the top. But you need to make sure that it's nicely stuck down first. Now keep in mind, the wetter that this gets, the more likely it is to tear. Now this layer of matte medium will mean I can add pencil work or anything else over the top. But don't work on it too much, otherwise it will rip. Doesn't matter how careful you are. Hopefully I'm not going to give you an example here. Now I'm just going to work over this little piece here with the matte medium, just so I have a consistent background. So if I decide to add paint or anything, it'll behave the same way. Alright, now the other thing I have is a carbon pen. If you don't have one of these, you can use the incredible pen from Jane Davenport's collection. And I'm just going to be so brave and just extend some of these lines, which is silly because I feel like I'm going to be ruining it. Now the way Jane's drawn this is actually quite fluid, and you'll notice it's more than one line on the images. So I'm just going to do the same kind of thing. Now I'm also going to keep it quite loose and just extend those images out. Now you'll notice that there's some little details that Jane's added here, just sort of like little squiggly bits. So I'm going to do the same thing in some of my lines, just for a little bit of continuity. And there's also some zigzags and whatnot. So I will make sure that when I'm creating the rest of my page, I add similar features. But what I need to do is extend some of these features. So what we've got here is just sort of little scaly kind of shapes. So I'm going to use my mermaid markers to add similar colours. I'm going to start with pale colours of mermaid marker and then work over the top of them. Okay, so all I need to do is pop this on and then blot it off. Now because it's over matte medium, I've got a few extra seconds before the colour sets, so I can do that. So that gives me just sort of a finish to the pattern at the top here, but I'm still feeling like I need something at the bottom, so I might just do that same thing with the pink. Grab a little bit of paper towel and the starfish. Oh, that really helps the colours blend in, and it's just helping sort of give an edge to this, because up until now it was just sort of a collagey bit that I'd cut out of things, but that's really helping making it sort of more come together. Now I'm just going to add a bit of pink in some areas here. I'm still feeling like that's too dark, so I'm just going to go over this a bit. Oh yeah. Now I'm not adding any extra colour here, I'm just dragging the colour that's already on the page around. So I've got the rest of the Jane Davenport paint over pens, and of course that water brush at the rescue. So I'm not trying to colour it in, I'm just trying to add a little bit more colour to it. Thank goodness for matte medium, so I can take some of that off. Not all of it, but just enough so that it's not looking too pink there. But I might add a bit more in here and spread it around a tiny bit. At this point I've had a little problem. So I had originally added some watercolour swipes and then written the days once they were dry. Unfortunately, the pen that I used, for some particular reason, picked today to bleed a little, and it didn't end up looking as crisp and as nice as I wanted it to. So I've covered the background with gesso and allowed this to dry, and at this point I'll go on and create a brand new background for my planner layout. Now the only thing you'll need to note is, because I've used gesso, once it's completely finished and before you write on it, you'll need to give it a quick spray with workable fixative so that any pen that you use over the top won't be clogged by the little particles in the gesso. While that's drying, I'm going to add some of the beautiful journal tattoos that I've used from Jane Davenport. Now, I used part of this page in a previous project, but I had a whole batch of things left over. I'm just going to add them here. Now, I've already got them placed where I want them, and all I have to do is apply a little bit of pressure and they'll be stuck to my page. Now, I've cut them into pieces so it's not obvious that they were sort of shaped around other things. So I love using these because they're transparent, and you can use them to extend the design you've already got, to overlay it, just to add some extra bits and pieces, and I love being able to do that. It gives me lots of options, and I like options. And of course these are great over both paper and the matte medium that I've been using, so they turn out beautifully. Now that all those layers of gesso are dried, I can go ahead and finish my page. So that I don't mess anything up, I've just penciled in my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then down the bottom Saturday, Sunday boxes, so that now I can go and add a little bit of decoration. Now I'm not going to go too crazy here, and I'm just going to use some Distress Oxides in the same colours that are in the image on the other side of my page. Right, now I'm just going to add a tiny bit of tape there to keep that straight. And I have one of the beautiful Prima, a sort of brush stroke stamp. And I'm going to ink this up with some Distress ink. And it doesn't get a lot of ink on the stamp, so this should work really well. I'm going to add this to the corner here. Now I'll need one more of these in the same colour, a bit further down the page. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Clean the stamp between ink colours and go and fill in the rest of those boxes. Now I'm just going to flip this around and I'll add the days of the week over the top here in black, and I'll just use my VersaFine for that. Next step, I'm just going to drag some of this colour off the little word and use it to colour the rest of the square. So it'll soften the pattern and add colour to the rest of it, a little bit like watercolour. So just do all the same colours at once. The beautiful thing here is that VersaFine ink is waterproof, so this won't bother the writing at all. Now, while this side is drying, I'm just going to add this beautiful batch of feathers over here. And this is more of my leftover rub-ons. Alright, so I'm just going to go over my boxes in black. Now I'm also just going to go over these little words here with the same pen. Okay, so once you've gone over the words with a black pen, I'm just going to add a little swoosh. Let's see how this goes. Now I'm not trying for this to be a straight line. One tiny bit more stamping with some Versamark. Add a little doodling and hopefully you're ready to shine for your week. Just to make some little additional marks, I'm just going to add a bit of my mermaid markers to a piece of, you can use either acetate or I've just got a little acrylic block here. And I'm just going to line this up and stamp it onto my background. It makes little splodges. I'm just going to blot these, but I don't have any additional gesso on this side of the page, just that matte medium, so they will stay quite well. So I'm just going to add a couple of those, and I like how that just sort of makes that pattern follow through. And I think my page is done. I've got heaps of room to write down the side here. I often like to sort of put a little bit of journaling around here. Got heaps of room for my to-do lists, and I'm ready to go. So I hope you've enjoyed what I've done with my leftover Jane Davenport supplies. This might inspire you to do a little planning for your week. Bye!